Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. Hey, I tell you, things are happening everywhere. The Gremlin's been here and everything. But what we want to do is we're going to start off Councilman Marvin Wilson, Prince George County Council. He served 40 years in Prince George County. So many things that are happening with Marvin. Here you see a shot of he and some friends and his wife. Marvin was involved with the centers. He was involved with the development of so many things in Prince George County. The centers and the other things that you take for granted. Well, what happened is that down on the wharf, you see what's happening there. He was responsible for that. But what happened is so many developments in Largo that the county council, the hospital, and all of the good things in Prince George County. Those are the things that Councilman Marvin Wilson was involved in. That 40 years, we'd like to dedicate. This is Black History Month, and actually, he was one outstanding citizen here in Prince George County. You'll see another picture there with a few of his friends that he was involved with. And let's take a moment of silence for Councilman Marvin Wilson. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on. You know, this is Black History Month. And we have a young lady here, you know, and she's going to tell us about power and, you know, give us some information and all. But with the councilman, he gets involved in all of these things. Well, what you have to look at is Black history. All of us, history is something that all of us need all the time. We need to know more about each other. You know, not just, you know, don't keep it within minorities. They need to know about themselves, and the rest of the world need to know about themselves. That's why we have problems in the religious sector, is because we need to talk more. We need to know more about it. So this Black History Month, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning has a terrific program. All this time, it's going to be started at Laurel up there in Laurel, Maryland, and Montpelier. And if you really want to get some information about Black history, they got terrific programs all this month. Okay, so this is something, I mean, this is for everybody. Black history is for everybody, not just blacks, it's for everybody. We need to know more about each other and not read in the paper or hear, you know, what somebody is doing. Go out and analyze the situation yourself. Okay, what we have here, we have Avon Laurel, what's that?
Bahari.
And now she's going to try to get your mind together. You know, all of us, you know, most of us, you know, we sit around, we wonder what's going, escaping fears from within. You know, you talk to yourself, you say, escaping fears within. Ava Laura, tell us, what do you mean by that, escaping fears from within? And give us your background and all of these MSWs and LGSWs behind your name.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. Well, first let me talk about my clients and what I typically see, and that'll help you to understand who I am, what I do, and why I wrote the book Power. So I typically work with women, high-powered women who are professionals, who are in leading industries, and they're living major lives. They have massive schedules, they have major work, major businesses, and so they're trying to balance all of these things, and they're trying to figure out, how can I run a major life, a major business, have children, family, and still make time for myself?
All right.
They're trying to figure out all of these things. And so what happens is that in the midst of trying to running all these major things, they start to feel fearful. Perfectionism starts to come in. They start to feel like, I don't know how I can do all of this. And then worry and anxiety happens, right? And so they start feeling like, well, maybe I can't really have it all. You know, maybe this isn't meant for me. How can I manage all of these things and not lose myself? Okay, so what happens is lack kind of creeps in, and they start feeling like, well, I can't have this all, so it's okay.
You look in the
it's
mirror
okay.
when you talk, when you say that, and say, how can I?
Yes, absolutely. How can I do all of this, right? You talk to your friends about it,
Right.
Because you can't figure it out. And so what happens is then the lack creeps in, and they start feeling like, well, it's okay. It's okay that I can't have it all.
Right,
It's okay that I don't
It's
get
normal.
enough sleep at all. It's normal. It's okay that I can't have work and family balance. It's
You
okay
convince
that
yourself.
I don't have time. That's right. You
Right.
convince
You convince
yourself.
yourself.
You convince
That's the hardest
yourselves
job, convincing yourself.
of something that's not true.
That's not true.
That's something that's not true. So you convince yourself of something that's not true, and you get stuck in that rut because then you start to believe it. So then you start limiting yourself. You start limiting your capabilities and what you're actually able to do, because now you actually believe this stuff, right?
Because if someone else does it to you, then you say, you don't know what he's talking about.
Exactly. Exactly. But if you do it to yourself,
You do it
it's
to
okay.
yourself, it's okay.
It's okay.
Right.
And so what happens is all of this is going on in their heads all of this time. And so what I do is help my clients to see that this really is their stuff. They're stuck in their own stinking thinking. Right? They're letting fear, and they're letting lack, and they're letting perfectionism and worry and anxiety run their life.
Right.
And so we have to get out of that, because what happens is they start to feel like they can't have it all. It becomes everything that they say that they want becomes a futuristic something.
Well,
it
that
becomes
builds,
elusive to them.
well, that's convincing yourself. Say, hey, Ava, say, what is it? Ava Laura, say, you the greatest. You know, a young man used to do that quite a bit in the boxing world. My wife really liked him, was Muhammad Ali. He used to say, I'm the greatest.
Yes.
And that's...
But women aren't doing that.
Women are not doing
They're
that.
not doing
See,
that.
They don't talk
They
to
start to feel like they're not the greatest, and they're
Well,
not worthy, and they need more. They need
Well,
to do
that's
more.
because of the society that we're in.
Absolutely.
See, the society is the thing that when you go back in history, you talk about history, you go back in history, and society sets that up. That's why people have to do their own analyzation.
That's right. They have to do their own inner work or their own healing. And
right.
so what I do, my responsibility as a healer and as a coach and as a counselor, is to really tap into my intuition so that I can tap into my client's intuition. And because here's the thing, it's not about what you don't know, but it's about the information and the knowledge that you're not tapping into.
Right.
So I help them to tap into those things, because we all have the power to live the lives that we want. We all have the power to make right decisions and do the right things. But if you're not tapping into your own inner power, how can you do that? So my job is to help them to tap into that power so that they can shine bright and they can stand in their full power and share their greatness with the world, because they want to be great.
Right.
They want to do great things, but they don't know how to do it.
Right. And one of the things that people fail to realize is that failure, you learn through failure.
Right.
When you fail, that generally, well, I can't do it. You talk to yourself, I tried, and with this different problems that you have with jobs and
Right.
with the young people,
Right.
the teenagers and all, the average teenager wants to get 12, 13, you're antique and, the things that I'm not going to have my children do that, that's not, and
Right.
then you try to convince them this is the way the world is. If you don't, respond this way, and this is going to happen to you, they don't believe it.
Right. Right. You're right. And you're absolutely right that failure is a stepping stone to
Right.
success.
Right.
It's a stepping stone. It's a it's a period, it's a comma, not a period.
Yeah,
So
right.
that means you keep going. You don't
Yeah,
stop.
you don't
you
stop.
keep going.
Right, right.
And and you're absolutely right that fear, it's really the fear that starts to paralyze
Right.
you, so that when something like failure hits, and a lot of my clients, they're perfectionists, so they don't even want to do it unless they feel like they can absolutely do it right.
Right,
So they
right.
never even get started. Forget failure.
Yeah,
They
right.
never even get started. I have a client now that I'm working with. Her dream, right? I just talked to her yesterday. Her dream is to have a juice bar, and she has all these wonderful products. People love them, and she said, "Well, I'm still working on my blog. It's not perfect yet." I said, "You have people out there who want to pay you for this juice, and you're not putting it out there because it's not perfect. You need to make your money.
Right,
Put it
right.
out there.
Set-
People want it."
Right, set priorities. See?
Exactly.
And see, this is a thing that, but it's so easy, when you look at other people. Most people say, well, if so-and-so can do it, so can I. But they don't realize they don't have the whole story.
Right.
99% of the time, before Susie Mae was successful, she was a failure.
Yes. You're absolutely right. If you look at any of the greats, they will tell you they failed their way to success.
Right.
That's how they got there. You do not get successful without failing.
Right.
It can't happen. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. And I think one of the big problems that I see with my clients is that they think things are supposed to look a certain way. And so if they don't look that way, it's perceived as a failure. When
right.
it's not a failure, it's just you're not looking at it correctly. You're not seeing the bright side of things. You're only focusing on the negative. So you're not recognizing the lesson that was within that story of what happened to you.
And see, analyzation, being a research chemist, analyzation is one of the key things that people forget, they want to do, is analyze anything. I mean, anything, analyze it. And then you look at the pros and cons of it. And then you say, well, this didn't work for Susie. Well, I want to try it again because I'm not going to do the same. I'm not going
I'm not
the way
Susie.
Yeah.
I'm not Susie. So
Susie did it.
So maybe she couldn't do it, but why can't I?
And she was a failure. She tried this, and hey, you try the same thing, and you're a success. How do you do that? Because you convince yourself.
Exactly. It starts here.
Yeah.
Getting rid of that stinking thinking. And going back to what you said, that's interesting that you said that research and really analyzing, because that's what I do for my client.
Yeah.
I look at my client as a full, complete person, and I can see things about themselves that they can't see.
Right.
And so my job is to tap into what I see, that untapped potential, and pull it out of them. My job is to pull it out them and help them to go from that pain to that greatness. Because we all have it in us.
Right,
but a lot of times the problem is that we can't see it for ourselves, and we're so busy trying to do it all on our own. And because we're trying to do it on our own and not getting help, we never get the results that we want.
That's the key, getting help. People have a tendency, I don't need any help. I know what I'm doing. All I have to do is do this. But what they fail to realize that they're very prejudiced too.
Absolutely, and you can't see things clearly.
You
can't see yourself clearly. As I tell my clients, you can't see your back. Can you see what's going on in your back? I can't see my back, but I can look around and see your back. So you can't see everything clearly. So you're absolutely right, and that's a huge problem with women, is trying to do everything on their own, thinking that they're superwoman, and nobody else can do it like they can. So I have to do everything. I got to take care of the kids. I have to take care of the home, and I have to go out and work a job. My husband can't help me because he don't know how to cook. He don't know how to take care of the kids. And so now they're stuck and wondering why they're so bogged down. They have no energy. They have no time. And they're depressed and anxious and worried and like, what's going on with my life?
Yeah.
You're doing too much.
Right. Okay, peer pressure. How does that work? How do you work that? How do you keep people from, looking across the street or down the hall and say,
trying to keep up with the Joneses?
The Joneses got, Mercedes? We can afford, can't we, darling? A Mercedes? Sure we can, How do you stop that?
Well, so one of the ways that I do that is looking at my client as a whole, complete person. Because when I can see you and draw your greatness out of you, then you're not trying to compare yourself to somebody else, because you can see who you are as a unique being, and you don't want to be somebody else. You're going to celebrate who you are. So that's one of the things, and helping a person to really understand their purpose. Why are they here? Because most of my clients, they want to live in the flow of purpose and passion. They just don't know how to do it. So my job is to help you to discover, who are you? Why are you here? What are you passionate about? What makes you want to get up in the morning and smile? Those kind of things. And when you're living from that place, you're not going to compare yourself to anybody else or try to keep up with the Joneses, because you love your life. But when you're depressed, when you're depressed and you're bogged down, then you start getting envious of others and start feeling like you can't have what other people have, because you're not operating from a place of power. You're operating from a place of lack and fear.
Okay, now you said the right thing there. You said power. The name of your book is Power. Why?
Well, that's exactly why, because we all have power. We all have our own unique power within us. And a lot of the problems that we have is that we don't know how to tap into our own power and our own potential to live the great lives that we want to live. So my job is to help you to tap into your power so that you can live a great life, because it's possible. It's there. We all were born for a reason. We all have a unique purpose. And if you don't tap into your purpose and live from that place, you have to think about what is the world missing out on because you're not living from that place. So think about if you weren't here, right? You didn't have this show. What is the world missing out on because we don't have the Ed Brown show?
Right.
So you need to know who you are. You need to draw on your own power and live from a place of purpose so that you can shine your greatness on the world, and the world, your family, your friends, your community, the world at large will benefit from who you are and what you have to give.
Okay, now let's talk about the other half.
Okay.
Okay, we're dealing with yourself. You convince yourself. What about the other half? How do you do that?
What's the other half?
The other half is your family.
Oh, the family.
Because, you know, if you have teenagers, they have opinion. Your husband have opinion.
Everybody has opinions, right? We know that.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. This is the beauty of doing your own interpersonal healing. And this is the thing that I tell all of my clients, and they hear me, but they don't believe me until it happens.
No.
What happens is when you start to shift and change and transform your life, other people will shift and change and transform around you. One of the key things that we need to realize is that we teach people how to treat us. You teach a person how to treat you. So if you show them... You
don't use a hammer, do you?
You don't need a hammer. You don't need a hammer. You just need, again, assert that inner power. Assert that inner power. You don't need the hammer. But you teach somebody how to treat you. So if you teach them proper boundaries, if you teach them, don't say those things around me or don't limit me, those are your fears. Keep them to yourself. Don't put that on me, right? If you teach them that, then they're not going to do it anymore. They're either not going to do it anymore or they're not going to want to be around you. Either one. But either way, you won't have to deal with it. So again, it all starts with you. When you change, other people will start to change around you.
So you talking about family. What about the younger parts of your family? You know, people, individuals that, you know, they don't have the reasoning we have for doing things.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about, again, if you're talking about your own children, they may not have the reasoning, but if you are their mother, they should be listening to you.
But
you can't control other people's children.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about your own children, again, that's teaching them how to respect adults. That's teaching them how to respect authority. So that's a job as a parent to be able to do that.
Well, so the parent that's the parent's responsibility to make them understand authority. Well, you can't drive the car. You can't ride anyone with you till you're 16 or 18 or whatever. Say, and Susie Mae can't stay over because you didn't check with me before you made that commitment.
Exactly. So that's easy.
What do you say? That's easy.
Your own parent, for your own children.
Yeah, laying down the rules.
Absolutely.
Okay. What are the basic rules in developing this power?
There's a few things that I talk about in the book, and I give a lot of exercises. I'm really all about, when I work with my clients, I give a lot of exercises. I get a lot of what I call soul work. Not homework, but soul work. Because the key is being able to take the information and then utilize it in your life. I think one of the problems that we have is that people collect information. I call them spiritual samplers. They collect here, and they never commit to one thing. So they read this book and they say, oh, that was great, and then they go and read another book and do something else. And so they never actually take the lessons. They never actually do the work. So one of the key things is that I give assignments and exercises so that you can put it into action.
Well, how do you?
So a lot of it is inner stuff, looking at yourself, writing things down, looking at your thoughts. What are the negative thoughts that you're having? Write those down. Pay attention to those thoughts, because again, one of the things that I talk about is that how most of us we have an average of 60,000 thoughts every single day. And
what was it?
60,000 thoughts every single day. Yes.
All evil?
Mostly. Mostly those gremlins. So about 80% of those thoughts, 80%, about 80% of those thoughts are negative.
Right.
And those are the thoughts that are running your life: the fear, the lack, the perfectionism, the worry, the anxiety, the depression. All of that is running your life. And so the problem is that you're not even aware of those thoughts. You see the results of the thoughts. You see the life that you're living that you don't like, but you don't understand that it's your thoughts that are creating that experience for you. So one of the things is that you have to do is start to begin to look at what your thoughts are. Because what's happening is they're going around and around in your head like an old broken record. They're just going around every day and you start believing it. It doesn't mean that they're real, but you believe them because they're your thoughts. And they've been going around and around and around in a broken record for so long, you just think that it's the truth. You don't even question it anymore. You don't even say, well, you know what, maybe that's not even really true. I actually can do this. You just shoot yourself down and say, no, I can't, because you've been thinking it for so long. So one of the things is identifying what those negative thoughts are. I call it just, cleaning house. Cleaning house. Just going in and just cleaning house. Getting rid of all that clutter. Getting rid of the clutter. Cleaning it out, right? Because some of us have been hoarding negative thoughts. We got to get rid of it.
How you do that when you convince yourself to clean out your closet? When you had something that you've had 20, 25 years, you hadn't worn it out, but you want to keep it. How do you fight
or
that?
It still has tags on it and you've never used it.
Right, never used it.
Well, that's where the help comes in. That's really where the help comes in, because you can't really do it. You can only get but so far. And that's a lot of what I see, particularly with women. They collect information. They've gone to the Oprah Live Your Best Life tour. They've been to this workshop. They've read this book. They read The Secret. They did all this stuff, but then they don't know how to utilize it for themselves. So that's really where the help comes in, because again, you can't see everything. There's a certain amount of work that you can do, but you're not even aware of all those negative thoughts. So you need somebody like me to come in and say, what is that? Where did that come from? Why are you saying that to yourself?
Do you give homework?
Oh, yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the
work. I give a lot of work.
That's what I was thinking.
For my coaching and counseling clients, there's a workbook and a meditation CD that we use. So I use that with all of my clients. It's an amazing workbook, and it comes, every chapter at the end has assignments. So they go back through the chapter, they read it, and it also personal assignments. So some of it is looking at, what are your thoughts? What are the things that you learned from your mother? What are the things that you learned from your father, right? Because a lot of that, again, is stuff that we take for granted, and we think, well, my mama told me that, so it must be true. Right? But that doesn't mean it's true. It just means that that's what your mama thought. And that's what her mother before thought. And her mother before that.
You've been indoctrinated.
Exactly. Exactly. So a lot of it is a lot of inner work and looking at yourself and looking at what you're holding on to. So I have a whole system that I use to help them to do that.
Well, is that written or?
It's written. Some of it is it's written, and part of it is a very customized experience. Again, because I'm tapping into my intuition to see what's going on with my clients, so I can pull whatever I need to out of them. So it is written as a framework,
right?
But it's customized for their experience, for what they need.
Basically, that's why you have to get information from your client.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I get information from them. We talk, so I know exactly who they are. I find out what their goals are. I find out what are the things that they think are keeping them stuck. Because a lot of times, the things that you think are keeping you stuck are not the things that are actually keeping you stuck. So I find out from their perspective, and then a lot of the assignments helps to draw things out of them that they can't see, that they're like, oh, I wasn't aware of that before.
You give grades?
I don't give grades. I don't give grades. And the reason that I don't, because this is healing work. And when you're doing that, you don't want to judge people. You don't want to, people don't want to feel judged.
Right.
They don't want to be judged, and they don't want to be criticized. They're not going to keep going, right? If they think that they're failing, they're not going to want to keep going. So I encourage them. And so even if they're not doing as great as they can, I let them know, because I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to make sure that you're doing your work, but I'm not going to judge you. I let them know this is a judgment-free zone. Wherever they are.
Very important.
Absolutely.
Judgment,
absolutely.
Part of it.
And because here's the thing too, a lot of them are so busy judging themselves and beating up on themselves. I don't need to add to that, and they have family members who are judging them and beating up on them. So I'm not going to add to that. This is a judgment-free zone where when you come here, I just want to know what's happening so that I can help you. That's the main thing. I just want to know what you're experiencing so that I can help you get from where you are to where you want to be.
Well, do you think that the environment that the person is in has a lot to do with them deciding their future? You know, the influence, the type of home that they're brought up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Your childhood experiences are extremely
Yeah.
important. That's when your core beliefs are formed
Right.
as a child.
Exactly.
And those beliefs come from your mother, your
Right.
father, your caretakers, the
Right.
people that raised you, your
Right.
teachers.
Exactly.
You know.
Influence. They
Absolutely.
influence your thought. But
Absolutely.
when you find out that these things are not true or the type of things that you want to be associated with, how do you handle that?
Well, what happens is that, well, first, you have to identify that and see
Yeah.
it. And that's hard for some people because
Yeah.
they're so used to it.
Right.
That's all
They've
that
been
they
indoctrinated.
know. So it's very difficult for them to let go of those beliefs, even if the beliefs are hurting them.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to do that.
Yeah.
But what happens is, again, you look at what is this belief creating in your life? Right?
Yeah.
Is this belief holding you back? Is this a belief allowing you to live the life that you want? Because if it's not, see, what happens is when people start to see that, wait a minute, this belief is causing me to be broke down, disgusted, busted, right? Can't have good relationships, can't get the job that I want, or can't live the life that I want to live. Maybe I have the job that I want, but I can't figure out how to have a good, healthy relationship too, or I can't figure out how to have my family, or even though I have all of this stuff, I'm burned out, I'm tired. So what happens is when you start to look at what those negative beliefs are creating, then you want to get rid of it. That's very easy to say, wait a minute, this got to go. I got to clean house. This belief has to go.
But outside influence, how important is that?
It's important, but again, most of the problem is going on in our own heads. So even though outside influences are really important, what's more important is what are you thinking and holding on to personally? You know, one of the things I see women who, my life is not going great, I'm not happy with things, I want to move.
Yeah.
Well, what's moving going to do? You're still taking yourself with yourself. Right? So you're in D.C. and you say, I want to move to Atlanta. You're still taking yourself to Atlanta.
Well,
even though you changed your environment, you haven't changed yourself.
Well, how do you handle that when a job is involved?
Well, if it's a job involved, then I mean, obviously you want to move if you're getting a better opportunity. But the point is not to think that the moving is what's going to create the change in your life. What's going to create the change in your life is changing yourself. You know, just like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. You have to change yourself first, and then the world will change around with you. But if you think that you're just going to change your environment and then you internally going to change, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah. See. That's one of the things that now physically, do you get involved in that appearance?
Not too much, only again when it comes to beliefs. Because again, even if you're looking at physical appearance, and let's say I have clients who come to me who want to lose weight or they're not happy physically, a lot of that again is happening in their mind.
Okay.
And so really looking at it from that standpoint, because anybody will tell you, any weight loss person, any personal trainer will tell you that 90% of the change is happening in their minds.
Right. You've heard it from Ms. Mahara here on the Ed Brown Show. I tell you, it's fantastic. So, hey, thinking of power, when the last time you looked in the mirror and really check yourself out? You know, I know you're a little prejudiced, but it can be done. So, you know, if you really want, this is time to see power from Mrs. Mahara. Okay, this has been Ed Brown, and don't forget, the Black History Month is this month. Do something and learn something about history, not just black history, all history. And we like to, once again, send condolence to Marvin Wilson and his family about Marvin did a terrific job on National Harbor and did a terrific job on Sports and Learning Center. Yes, yes, yes. Get involved. That's the key. Okay, this has been Ed Brown. See you next time.